Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kathy Grimm, the Grimm Reader, here with a weekly etc. reading update. So regarding the etc. stuff, thanks for all your kind comments on my video. Naive me forgot or just didn't realize by placing COVID and health scare and then talking about what's going on with my little issue, it would bring out a certain element of the audience that I don't really want to care to have no interest in engaging with. And it's so hopefully this is not too mean, but I've been watching a lot of Werner Herzog videos, and he's hilarious and smart and sort of mind-blowingly prolific. And one thing he said about a movie that was not well received, and he got a lot of flack for it or something. He has his way of talking that we all know. He says, you have to brace yourself for the bozos. You have to brace yourself for the bozos. I thought, I didn't brace myself for the bozos in this case. Sorry to be mean, but I mean, what people spout is just jaw-droppingly uninformed and kind of makes you scared for humanity, I believe. Anyway, so what I decided to do is just get rid of all those comments. And they didn't, I mean, I noticed them, and at first I was like, okay, sure, freedom of speech, whatever. And then it's like, no, just get rid of them. It's just silly. So, but there are a lot of all my good people have said such nice things, and including a couple who, of course, have had the similar issues. And I think it comes down to, if you're in the privileged position of being able to get something like this checked very early on and then sort of chuckle about it either way, either it is something or it isn't, and it most likely isn't, then one has to take advantage of that. And I did, of course, a little bit of Googling because that's the way I roll, and I'm okay with that. And one of the issues with this particular area, the mouse stuff, is that they often go undetected for too long, and that's what becomes dangerous. The people just kind of are in denial about them or forget about them until they're something too worse than they would be if early detection, as we all know, is the key to getting it all resolved. And so that's where you get to be overly cautious and you get things checked. And you know, if a dentist says, oh, this needs to be checked, well, who am I to say no? Or not yet. So we're all good, and I'll keep you posted on that. And thank you for indulging me in sort of the whole TMI-ness of it all. It is what it is. Now to the reading, which is going to be very off the cuff because as I am, so just sort of live update stuff. This is the last 2 weeks of classes, so I'm busy with that. I'm also busy with something that I can't talk about. Just it involves service that I can't talk about, but that's also kind of taking up a lot of my time. And then of course the impending travel. So it's just a busy time. And then that's the whole thing about this issue of having to run away to see a periodontist that was unplanned. And yeah, that's on Tuesday. Let's see, my reading. So I finally finished the Foresight Saga, which I did end up liking and perhaps even loving somewhat. It's very good and very moving in parts. And I did give it 5 stars in the end. There were sections that dragged a little bit, but then it seemed to get better at the end. Specifically, certain plot stuff just are more engaging than others, I think. Although in general, one thing, it's a book about a dying family, a dying era. You know, the Victorian era is dying, and he's very good at depicting people passing away and sort of in this sort of that peaceful, dreamy realm that at least is portrayed in fiction when people are dying, unless they're dying sort of violent deaths. But the ones in here are very memorable, and they're very memorable passages. And then what's even more memorable, or equally so at least, is the reaction to death, but on the part of some of the characters is very well done. I mean, there are passages of great lyric beauty in here that are just worth the whole thing, the whole however many pages it was. I've read a lot of long books this year. Granted, most of them I've listened to and then dipped into. This one too was mainly a listen, but I'm glad I have a copy of it. It even has study group questions here at the back, and one of the ones I just remember I looked at this. Does Goldsworthy successfully, quote, embalm the upper middle class? See here with the whole sort of putting things to rest theme. As he claims in his preface, what do you think of his assessment that the upper middle class is, quote, pickled in these pages, lying under glass? Does he pull off this job to the reader's satisfaction? Yes, he does. I'm not quite sure if one of his main characters is worthy of having been so much in the book. One of the main characters, his name is Soames, which is such a strange name. And he gets a lot of airtime. And I mean, he's the man of property. He wants to own everything. And I don't know if he was interesting enough to hold such a central position in the book. And that's one quibble I would have, that there were other people who I thought in a way could have been pulled more into the foreground. For example, there's his niece, I think, June, who's a very strange lady, and we never get any sense of her interiority. He wasn't very good with women in general, I don't think. Even the main woman, Irene, remains a kind of mysterious, beautiful thing, which she is for certain people in the book, but why does she have to be that for us too? I mean, we kind of understand her, but it's also from the outside, which maybe is what he wanted. I mean, that's okay. So 5 stars, but I guess with some sort of hesitancy there on my part. Let's see, I scrounged her. Oh, the big DNF. Well, not big, but I did decide to, after sort of saying I would never ever DNF it, I'm DNFing The Matrix. I just could not get into her writing style. It was too here and there and everywhere. I didn't really connect to the main lady that much. I don't care about the erotic scenes of lesbian, getting it on. That's fine if I'm enjoying everything else, bring it on. But I wasn't. So it's sort of like a bit of a failure for me. So I don't know, I feel sad, but no, but life's too short, right? So I don't know, I didn't click with it. See, I DNF'd the book everyone loved, Wolf Hall. I didn't even get, and I think that one in a way is better than this, but I don't know what it is. But then it did kind of throw me into I want to find historical fiction that I will like or do like, even perhaps written by women, and there's a lot out there. Hild, there's the whole sort of retelling of myth stuff, which I've only listened to Circe, and I didn't care for Circe very much. Madeline Miller, and those people love that too. And one thing I have on my shelf that I almost started to sort of make up for ditching this was Susan Townsend Warner's Strange. This is apparently a very strange novel too, from 1940s, about this abbey. And it's apparently, as it says in the introduction, something about how it's really just people coming and going. There's no fixed person, or it doesn't have a plot follow through, which sounds kind of like it could be boring, but apparently, I could see that it might work. I don't know. Plus, she's a very strong writer. So we almost started this kind of. The nice thing about having this set up here, which, in case you didn't know, hello, a few of the new people are here. I hope they're not the people that I call bozos. Anyway, they'll know and they'll run away. So this is if you starting here. These were white books here, and then going all down. That's my TBR. Those are the books that I would like to read. Yeah, it's nice having it there because it sort of helps me calm down and think any of these books I could read, because they're all TBR and they're all worthy of my time if I choose to. But as I was looking at the set here, I did kind of decide that there'll be some culling, and I'll take some off. I think that I'm not that interested in, and maybe even bring some from the other place in the front there, the black bookcases, so it can be like an exchange. But I'll do that when I have time, which of course I don't have a lot of time for that now. So I decided to not. So I played this game with myself where I looked through the whole shelf, and every book I would be like, I want to read that one, and then do I want to read the next one more or less than the first one? It's OCD, but it helped me figure it out. And so it was sort of funny how, like, in the running were things like Balzac's Pierre Goriot almost came in, and then I have a Guy de Maupassant Belle Amie novel that was mentioned, I think, even in the Foresights it was mentioned. So another Frenchie. And another one, some other ones kind of almost made it to the top of this game of which one. It's sort of like a tier, the tier thing. But it's funny that the one that won the tier, just because I don't know why I felt like another one of this author I've only read one of them, is Patrick White, the Australian Nobel Prize winning writer from the 20th century. And I've read Foss, and I think Foss is one of my favorite novels ever. It's an amazing novel. I don't think anything, even one of his this probably won't go up to there. But I decided to start reading The Eye of the Storm since I have it on my shelf. I had no clue what it's about. And it's a very strong start. It's basically about a dying woman and her thoughts about her life, and she's a strange, not very sympathetic lady. Again, it's female-centric though, written by this Patrick White, a gay man, Australian, and so the writing is incredible, and I will continue with it. It's going to take me a long time. Lily's here, so she might make an appearance. She might make an appearance. And but I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I'm just getting started, and it's going to take me a while, and so it'll be keep coming back. But the only thing I will say, it's so strange these how novels have whatchamacallit, Lily have. It's like a novel that you would never have guessed, and because it's focused on one lady sort of drifting in and out of consciousness in her dying days, so to speak, in this house, it's not completely unlike the book that has been on my shelf for years and years and years, written in the 60s, or I guess, I don't know when she started it, 50s, I don't know. She wrote on it for 20 years, and it was finally published in 1965. Yeah, so she wrote on it in the 40s, in the 50s. Margaret Young, my favorite writer, one of my favorite writers. Brilliant, but slow going for me, Miss McIntosh, my darling. Which is about basically the daughter and her connection to this person who looked after her, but her mother is the woman in bed. It's different because it's just different. It's surreal. It's more surreal. It's more kind of drifting in and out. It's longer. This is very, very long. This is only medium long. This is only 600 pages. I don't know what it is with me. I guess I don't care about length. It doesn't bother me if I'm enjoying it. 608 pages. And so yeah, we'll continue with this. It's very, very sort of not magical. So it's sort of like it's Australian life in the 60s, and this lady who's kind of, she's had a strange life. She's had an interesting life, and I'll tell you more about her next time. So that's the one read. And then, so in terms of the listen, because I finished Foresight, I needed a new listen. I almost fell into Trollope. I was like, Trollope is just so comforting, and right now I need comfort for all kinds of reasons that we know. But I decided I would try something different, and what I came up with, and it was one of these things that I was able to get for no credits on my Audible. I don't quite know how that all works. It's something connected to my husband's account. Is a fantasy novel by Lois McMaster Bujold. So she's an older school fantasy writer, and it's called The Sharing Knife, and it's part of a biggest series. What's the biggest series called? Oh, maybe the whole series is called Sharing Knife, and this in this volume 1 is called Beguilement. And it's so interesting. It's quite well done. It's sort of straightforward. It's weird because to me it sounds and reads like science fantasy western. It's a western, but it's a fantasy. So it's a western, but it has weird creatures, and it has this weird creature who is called a malice. And one of the cool things about the malices, they have another name. The farmers call them something else. The malices is able to take other animals and make them into quasi-humans, like even a lily, and make her into a quasi-human. She's already quasi-human. No, just kidding. But she's not a mudman. The people in the story, they turn them into what they're called mudmen, and they're a raccoon person. And it's kind of creepy, but also kind of cool. And even the idea of malice is funny because it's so blatantly the bad guy, the evilness. Let's just call it the bad guy, the evil one. Like, no pretense to it being anything else. But the way she's constructed it is kind of interesting. And so I'm looking at what Lily's up to. What are you doing? Don't do anything bad. What are you doing? Anyway, I think she farted. It smells. Did you fart? Cats. Life with cats. TMI. TMI. Lily. Anyway. So that's my new listen. And I'm really enjoying it. Well, no, it's not like... I'm enjoying it. And it's sort of easy listening. It's easy listening. And so it's a Western... And it's also a bit of there's a romance here. There's a slow burn romance of a very sweet and wholesome nature. And it's sort of, although there is some, in the early part of the book, there is some sort of, if you're very, very sensitive to SA, I would do a trigger warning for that. But the heroine is a very strong woman, and she comes out of things pretty unscathed and strong. And she's going to obviously make her way and basically hook up with this other guy, with this man. Who you could, it's pretty obviously that there is this trope of romance there too. And I'm okay with that. It's sweet. It's quite well done. So that's that. What a weird time. It's so funny, like usually I'd be sort of thinking about Christmas decorations and all that. And I'm not thinking about that at all. I'm just thinking about getting through, well, first of all, Tuesday. And then also the last weeks of classes and getting my grades in and getting on that plane to Germany. So I'm very sort of focused on that as opposed to Christmassy things. There's too much going on. Hope everyone's doing well. And thank you all for being so kind. And we will not let people who have differing opinions and try and force them on us get in our way, because why would I do that? And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.